Welcome back to another video. And this video is going to be a trade recap from my spot breakout trade on December 2nd, where I made $2,031 in 42 minutes. And the reason why I want to highlight this trade is because it's different from my normal scalping style. I will always be a scalper, but I am trying to add other setups to my playbook. And those big breakout charts don't happen often. So I want to get better at trading them because I think if I can do that, I can add a lot on top of my P&L at the end of each year. And the great thing about breakouts is they happen fast and they usually go a lot further than anybody anticipates. So if you can catch them right, you can get very nice moves. And that happens because there's a lot of eyes on that chart. I'm not the only one watching it. And when it finally starts to break out, a ton of supply jumps into that stock and you can get insane moves really fast. So now to get into the technicals, spot was in consolidation station for 5 months. That's a long period of time for something to chop around. And it was close to all-time high. And the SPY and QQQs are holding up. So it looked ready to go. And the technical levels that I was looking at trading around was the prior day's high, 292.01, prior pivot high on the daily, 292.79, the prior pivot before that, 294.67, and obviously the most important level of all-time high, 299.67. So there were a ton of technical levels to trade around. So now to look at the 1-minute chart the day that it broke out. Consolidated a bit off the open. It did have a bit of an opening range break, but the volume was very low. I just wanted to wait for it to get to those levels. And it did. Had a nice uptrend and then eventually got to 292, broke through it, 292.79, and then broke through 294.67. So got through all three of those levels. And then that's where I got long. Unfortunately, I don't have the recording, but I do have a screenshot of my executions. I stopped recording my screen after the first hour, and this happened like 2.5 hours into the day. So I ended up getting long spot, 250 shares at 295.72. The reason why I chose shares is because the options were super spready. And that's why I like having a PDT account, because it gives me the flexibility to trade shares when the options spread is really bad. And prior to this trade, I took 3 trades already on the day. So I took a very nice long off the open AMD, made $480 for the new all-time high. And this just goes to show that, like everybody else, I have my issues. And I'm guilty of taking more trades and sometimes giving the morning profits back. So I took another long on AMD, gave 262 back, took a long on Boeing, gave 224 back. So prior to the spot trade, I was flat on the day. So even though I'm 4 years into this, I still make mistakes and I'm far from perfect. But I'm glad that spot came through and saved the day. So going back to the main chart, because I could have traded this much better. So I got long 295.72, pulled back a little bit on me, but I wasn't planning on taking this for just a scalp, so I wanted to really let it develop. And it held some of the shorter term moving averages, the 9 EMA, the 20 SMA, and just slowly was trending higher, right? And then eventually put in a top right around 298. This is where I could have added to a winning position and small size, probably only adding about 100 shares because my average is already good. So had I added about 100, I still would have been in the money. And when this cleared all-time high, knowing that I was in the driver's seat. And being that I'm a scalper and I'm quick to take profits, I ended up getting out of the full position at 306. What I should have done is right when I get a little antsy, take most of it off and just leave 100 shares and try to ride that last piece for as long as I possibly can, because this continued and had a very nice move. So went straight up to 315 and this ended up holding up all right. So just trying to hold out for one more leg higher. And then that high was 315. And once it pushed through 315 and really started to speed up, that's probably where I take the last piece off. And of course, this went higher, but it's hard to catch the whole move. So just knowing that it made a new all-time high, getting like 15, maybe a little more than 20 points after that is a solid trade. And even though I didn't trade it great and I missed a lot of the move, I'm still happy I took advantage of some of it, because when the Baidu breakout happened, I didn't execute well on that at all. So now I can take the data from this and hopefully trade the next breakout setup better. And this just goes to show how crazy these breakout trades can be. When it made a new all-time high at 299.67, it essentially went straight up almost 32 points. And I know that these breakout trades don't set up often, maybe only a handful a year, but that's why I'm going to do my absolute best to take advantage of them when they come around, because I know that if I do that, I can add a lot on top of my P&L. Because even though I didn't trade this great and have a lot of areas that I can improve on, I still got a very nice trade out of it. Took it long 295.72, and the final piece I ended up getting out 306.19, so just got over 10 points. which makes for a fantastic trade and making over $2,031 in 42 minutes. And after that trade, I called it a day and ended up very nicely green. That was the trade recap of my spot breakout trade. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.